Boy, make a big noise playing in the street, gonna be a big man someday.
Got mud on your face. Your face. With kicking your can all over the place. We will rock you. We will rock you.
He has a condition called CCHS, or Congenital Central Hypoventilation Syndrome, which is a neurological condition. It affects the autonomic nervous system and a variety of things like your temperature controls, and, well, you know, breathing being one of the most significant issues. Some patients need ventilation all the time. We're fortunate that he only needs ventilation when he's sleeping.
First months of his life, we were in the dark. It took the physicians about a good 6 weeks before they could finally come up with a diagnosis. Until then, they kept testing him for things and coming back negative. They couldn't understand why he would not breathe on his own. We had one moron doctor suggest that we pull the plug and gently let him go and try for another child. Needless to say, he wasn't our doctor for very long. But we finally got lucky, and a neurologist had heard of something called Ondine's curse, as it's also called. We got him tested for that, and once we got the results, so at least we knew what we were dealing with.
All the time. Still. Still. All right.
Come with me
Off the
if
brush with
you listen that we are free.
Alex was growing up. We tried to make his life as normal as anybody else's. Tried to include him on everything he could do. And then we had to also teach him about his limitations. Bath time was a event. We had to hook him up to a portable vent to keep his airway going, so no water could get into his trach. He couldn't go swimming. He can't play contact sports. And he was hooked to a vent for the first 3 years of his life before we finally got him weaned off. And so physically, he was a little behind. He was a little delayed physically because he hadn't had the exercise most kids have.
Every little step was a huge achievement, and you think, okay, well, you have a child and they just naturally learn to walk and they naturally learn to do a lot of activities, but because he was delayed, some of those things took longer, and so when he finally got to a step, it was such a celebration. Having a medically fragile child changes the way you deal with things like packing for a vacation. It changes his school experience because he hasn't have to have a nurse to go with him to school. I think it changes a lot of the way that we handle things.
Changes everything, every dynamic.
Yeah.
His trach would come out. He also has tracheomalacia. His airway would collapse. I mean, we couldn't leave him alone. At any time he was out of our sight, we had to go get up and follow him. Couldn't go to sleepovers. Certain parties he couldn't go to. Like I said, we could never ever leave him out of our sight.
Yeah. When we had that time where we were in the line at Walmart, and his trach, he wanted M&Ms, and his trach came out because I'm not sure if he pulled it out or if.
I think you got it caught in the shopping cart.
Yeah, as I say, but we're just right in the middle of the aisle at Walmart, or in the checkout, because when that trach comes out, it has to go back in.
Yep. Lay him down, put the blanket down, get the new trach out of the bag, get the old trach off, reinsert. Took us like 10 seconds? I mean, it's like boom. Stood back up and looked at everybody like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. But it changes your experience of just going every day, going to the store, because an emergency can happen at any time.
Aha! Yay!
World peace.
One mouth can fix it all.
One one mouse could.
I think, you know, in a lot of ways it's still the same, you know, a child still wants the same things as every other child. They want to be able to go to school and play with their friends, and they want to watch their TV shows and play their video games. They, you know, they're still just a kid, you know. For them it's normal. I mean, this, you know, for us it was a life-changing experience, but it's all he's ever known, so.
Yeah, he grew up with a trach. He doesn't know any other way, so he got frustrated at some of the limitations we had to place on him. Not being able to go to sleepovers, not being able to do certain things. And now that he's a little bit older, you know, of course, he wants that alone time. He wants to be left alone. We actually had to put cameras in his room just so we could kind of give him that alone time, but still keep an eye on him and monitor the situation. So if something were to happen in there, we got a cat, he's got toys, he has friends over. So if they're playing and something happens and the trach pops out or the cat you know, we know.
I think it's been, you know, I would describe the experience as just really kind of a roller coaster. From going to, you know, when we first found out about his condition, that was a scary experience, but we also got the chance to do things that we probably never would have done and never would have met the people that we met at CCHS conferences. We learned a lot along the way that, you know, I think you realize things and think about things and learn things that you never would without a child like that.
For me, having a child that's medically fragile, I had to learn more about insurance, more about politics, because we've had to fight with the state about cutting programs that he's on. I've had to learn about his medical condition. And I'm supposed to be a dumbass truck driver who works hard and helps support his family, and I've had to learn so much more than I ever thought I would have to. Just enrolling him in school. We just don't go to school. We have to have an IEP meeting. We have to set certain things up and boundaries of what he needs. So it's affected every aspect of our life. It's made us fight and bicker more over small differences, but it's also given us a bond that, you know, can't be broken, because we've survived this for 9 years with him. You know, let the world throw whatever it wants at us, we got it. So having a medically fragile child, a double-edged sword? Definitely. Because of his condition, we have met tons of great people. Because of his condition, we have lost friends. Because of his condition, we have a tighter bond with each other. Because of his condition, we haven't had a date in 9 years hardly. Because of his condition, I have learned a lot of things. Because of his condition, I've had to learn those things to combat stupidity in the insurance companies and in the government. So it's definitely a double-edged sword. With whichever thing good that comes along, you can balance that out with something negative along with it. But it is what it is.
I've paid my dues, time after time. I've done my sentence, but committed no crime. And bad mistakes, I've made a few.